Welcome to Let's Be Frank.
Hello.
Today we are talking about how you spend your time. It's something that I've wanted to talk about for a couple of podcasts now, and we've been unsuccessful in a few attempts. But I don't know if you want to talk about the book that you found.
So it's time and time management is something that we constantly hear. There's a few interesting things about time. So the first book that I read about this is called 168 Hours.
Which one of your colleagues has had hidden in a bag somewhere for a few months.
Correct. But the fact is that time is the one resource that is distributed evenly.
Yeah.
And the most democratically distributed resource in the world.
Yeah, we all get the same amount.
We all get the same amount. No privilege or no amount of money can buy you more, and you cannot give it away to somebody else.
Yeah.
So it's a really interesting concept if we think about time and the way that we think about time. And how many times just in the last week have you heard, if I just had time.
Yeah, or I don't have time for that.
I don't have time for that. And there's a cliche that says it's not about time, it's about priorities.
Yeah.
And I've really found that to be true.
Yeah.
So just being a bit more aware of where and how your time is spent will give you some great insight
into how much time you have for those things that you really want to do, if only you had the time.
Yeah, which we know is just a question of your priorities. Yeah. And the most recent book that I came across was while I was listening to Deep Work by Cal Newport, which is highly recommended, by the way. He mentioned a book that was written about 100 years ago.
That's why I laughed when you said recent.
Yeah. So, but Cal Newport, in his research that he did for Deep Work, came across this book, or he references this book. It was a book that was written, about 100 years ago, by a man called Arnold Bennett. How to Live on 24 Hours a Day. Yeah. And it's a very short book, and it's available on gutenbergpress.org for free. Both the Kindle, there are several versions.
Yeah, there's an
audio version as well. So I really recommend people to to read or listen to the book.
In about an hour if you listen to it in 1.5 speed.
Well, yeah, it's less because it's the total length of the Audible is 78 minutes. So I listened to it twice in the last 2 days. So interesting from a number of points. First of all, making everyone aware about the fact that we all have the 24 hours a day, and what we do with it is actually the problem.
Yeah. And
what was really interesting is even that long ago, it says that people organize their lives around work.
Yeah.
And make that the main focus. And they treat the rest of the time as a prologue and an epilogue.
Yeah.
So we all know that we have to sleep. It's very important.
Yes.
And most of us have to work. So those are the two things that eat up or use up most of your time.
Yeah.
But even if you subtract those hours, and if you allocate roughly 8 and 8,
you're still
left with 8.
Yeah.
What do you do with 8? So people will say, my commute makes my work day 9 hours or 10 hours. Well, that's fine. Then you still have 6.
And then it's also, you can use the time during your commute to do something.
Correct. There's always something that you can do during your commute. Most people don't sleep a full 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
So it is about what you do with that additional time.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely not saying that you should not have leisure time and you should not spend time drinking beer with your friends or watching sport or playing games or watching TV or any of those things. But when you say, I don't have time, be a little bit more aware
that you do.
that you do and where you spend your time.
Well, he even talks about starting small, which we talk about quite a lot. And he talks about using just 7 hours out of that 168 hours for yourself. So, and he even makes a comment, he's quite a funny guy. He makes a comment about how, you think I'm being cheap with just 7 hours out of my 168, but actually here's how you can effectively use those 7 hours. And
true. One of the other really funny things for me in the book was his physician friend that says in his experience most men sleep themselves stupid.
Yeah.
Which I thought was very funny but also very true.
Yeah, there's a lot of studies about how much sleep you actually need or don't need.
Yeah. So again, it's about priorities, and if you really break it down, I recently had a chat with somebody who's just starting to build the habit of reading. And we talked about, well, how much time does it actually take?
Yeah.
People are surprised or, well, where do you find the time to read a book a week? It's not that difficult if you go and break it down. And I think that's what we don't do.
Yeah.
We don't break these things down. The average business book is about 250 pages. There are roughly 200 words on a page, and you can do these calculations.
Yeah, I told you I'm not good with the math. I'll need a calculator.
Well, take the calculator, but the point is if you think that, this is a massive task, well, how am I going to break it down?
Yeah.
But the point is, if you read 200 words a minute, that's roughly a page. So you're going to need, 250 minutes, which is like 4.5 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't got it on paper yet. But go and make the calculation. If you find a book that you want to read, if you want to read War and Peace, it's a bit more than 250 pages. But at least go and make the calculation and then set yourself up and say, well, you know what, I'm going to make time to read 30 minutes a day.
Well, we talk often about bite-sized chunks to form a habit, which eventually you'll realize, I can actually do a little bit more than that once you're in that habit. So
yes, it's about the discipline. It's about the discipline of getting started. And also finding something that you're interested in.
Yeah.
It's easier to devote some time and make the effort. It doesn't have to be every day. It can be 2 or 3 times a week. But just commit to it. Find something that you're interested in. And Jim Kwik often talks about, checking what your motivation is.
Yeah.
And how can you motivate yourself more? So if my motivation to learn geography is 3 out of 10. Well, what can I do to increase that? What can I do to make that a 5? What will it benefit me?
Yeah.
There's so many things when you talk to people about different subjects. Well, I'm interested in that, but where am I going to find the time?
Yeah.
If we look at resources that are available at the moment, there are so many short courses available.
Yeah.
So the opportunity to learn something.
Even podcasts.
Podcasts, there's just so many available where you can get a lot of value from. But we don't make the time.
Yeah. Well, and what we've also realized is that a lot of these things you can listen to quicker than they are recorded. And actually half the time that it would take to listen to them normally. So you can also optimize the time that you have.
So we know that there are a couple of things that influence how we use our time. Outside of, well, you know what, I get home from work and I just go sit on the couch and switch on my favorite TV show. We talk about things like your physical being.
Yeah.
So your health is important. We talk about things like diet and what you eat and the effect that has on your ability to focus and concentrate and so on. But there's also the actual habit of teaching yourself to focus and concentrate.
Yeah. Some call it meditation.
Some call it meditation,
Yeah.
some call it, there are lots and lots of different techniques to make yourself more focused.
I think it's about finding the thing that works for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Find one that works for you. And applying those things, because we don't pay enough attention to our minds, our brains, and learning. Yeah. So last week or earlier this week, we taught people
a brain trick.
A brain trick.
Yeah.
Something to help you learn better and faster.
Yeah.
And these are things that I think we need to pay attention to as well. What does that have to do with time? Well, a lot. Because check yourself and check in the conversations that you have with people, how often the excuse of, well, I have no time for that.
Yeah.
Even during your work day, people will go, well, I just don't have time for that.
Yeah.
And it's not true. It's something that I would really like us to kind of stamp out, get rid of completely.
Yeah.
It's about where we apply our focus and what our priorities are. So a lot of people, I mean, everybody is concerned with money.
That's what I was about to say. There's that Jay Shetty video, and it's also in this Arnold Bennett book. He talks about the 24 hours as if it were a commodity such as money. So you know how you would spend money, and he said there's a lot of things about how to live on 8 shillings a day, obviously because of the time. So that's why this book, How to Live on 24 Hours a Day, is something quite revolutionary, because it's looking at time as if it was money, but the difference is there's no discrimination. Everyone gets the same amount of it, and every single day it's renewed. You get that 24 hours again. Every midnight strikes and you have another 24 hours.
Yeah. And there's also a difference between living
and existing.
So obviously the title of the book is about how to live on 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
Where I was going with a money example is money is something that is important to all of us, and it should be. Yeah. But very few people understand it.
Yeah.
Where it comes from, how to use it properly. And yet most people complain about money.
That they don't have enough of it.
Well, they don't have enough of it. You know.
And that everything is expensive.
Very few people feel that they have enough money.
Yeah.
So it might be valid. Maybe we would all like a little bit more. But my point here is if you invest 2 or 3 hours of a week for 3 or 4 weeks, and make it your business to find out where does money come from, how to use it properly, understand certain basic concepts like compound interest. I'm not even suggesting people get into things like trading stocks and options, etc., etc. But if you are investing money somewhere, go to the trouble to investigate how it's invested. So that's one example. It'll make you a better person. It'll increase your knowledge. It'll help you to make better decisions. So if you're an avid gamer, for example, do you understand how games are made? Have you read up a little bit about the most successful games? What makes them successful? Other than the fact that I may enjoy playing those games, understanding a little bit more about that industry. And then obviously about our jobs, the things that we do. What are we doing to make sure that we get better at what we do? How do we improve and increase our knowledge?
These both fall into our blueprint, the being a better you.
Correct.
Yeah.
So there's so many things that one can do to use your time more effectively. Again, without neglecting friends, family, leisure, just sitting on the couch and doing nothing, because I'm also a big believer that spending some time doing nothing is also important.
Yeah.
But please, people, just pay a little bit of attention.
Be aware of where you spend your time.
And try catching yourself using the phrase, I don't have time.
Because we all have the same amount of time every day, and every day we get that time again. So
yeah. So how do you use your time?
Listening to audiobooks that get recommended to me by you.
So that's your commute. That's your commute sorted out, mostly.
Yeah, mostly in my commute. I like cooking. I know that sounds weird, but I like making food. I have recently started running, as I talk about in every single podcast, so I'm enjoying running. That's only once a week, but I'm trying to make it a couple more times a week. Going to gym. Yeah, a few things.
Okay. So important, we mentioned it earlier, that don't try to conquer the world.
Yeah.
But I forget who said it, but recently read the quote that Rome wasn't built in a day, but they were laying bricks every day.
Every single day, yeah.
So get into that habit. Don't try and change too many things, but find something, stick to it, and you'll feel good about that, and you will build on that.
Yeah.
And share with us, how do you spend your time? What works for you?
Yeah. That's great. Thank you.
Thanks.